to see Belveth support firsthand, but we are heading into game between Team Flash and SBTC Esports. SBTC currently sitting third in the standings, Team Flash down in 7th, and I think we are expecting most of the action in the first 5 to 10 minutes of this game being around the bottom side.
Yeah, see, I'm not really in love with a lot of the setup that's been brought out here. Again, if I'm playing Renekton, I feel like you're trying to play it into Jace, and the reason why is because you want to take really aggressive trading at the beginning of the game, and you want to be able to kind of shut down the Jace to the best of their ability alongside the Elise. So if I were spotting Dia1, I'd be like, yo, let's swap top and mid. Let's throw the K'Sante mid lane. We'll play it against the Gragas. That's a pretty standard, easy top lane matchup that is not going to go the way of the Gragas to begin the game by any capacity whatsoever. Now you're in a place where it's like, okay, the Jace gets a relatively free laning phase. And again, what are you going to do as Dia1 into the mid lane against the Gragas? Like, the Gragas should have the wave clear to be able to at least mildly keep away the Gragas or the Renekton for the majority of the game. So Spot, now you're looking at bottom lane to dive with no matter the circumstance. And Palette has gone for the full support with the Guardian Shield and everything else, which I don't know. Maybe you could talk me through why you like Seraphine support, but I feel like Seraphine support is not stronger than Seraphine with AP in the mid lane.
So I just really like Seraphine support just because you get so much range and you actually have a lot of damage kind of early on. I think one of the other cool things, because Draven I even like with champions like Yuumi, I think the speed... Oh, okay.
What in the world?
Dia? What are you doing? That caught me off. That caught me off massively. Astora's being caught out. Vinboys flashes forward, doesn't even need it. Palette ends up getting the kill, so Vinboys won't even be able to cash in on what few stacks he did have.
All right, see, now we haven't had enough degenerate VCS games during the course of the split, and honestly, Milky, I think we were overdue for one. So already, we get a little bit of nonsense. Mid lane, the action was so fast that we actually, okay, it had to just be level 2 from Dia or level 2 from Jane, just being able to take advantage of it as fast as possible. What are we doing?
Huh? Did he just misjudge?
That was criminal. That was criminal beyond comparison. This was also super good because, again, you had the E, and then you also had double E from Seraphine, so you had the axes, and you also had the potential root from Palette that kept Sora in place really, really long, because if you end up flashing ahead of time, you probably get pushed back, and you end up taking that death anyway. And so they were able to punish Sora really effectively by just holding those abilities in the right position and making sure that Sora had basically no escape route. So really, really big props to Vinboys and Palette taking that bottom lane advantage.
It's just slightly unfortunate that there was no first blood for Palette, because if you get first blood, you get to, I think, rush the Rylai's a little bit quicker, and I think you want to go Rylai's first, just because you're going against Kalista, so maybe just to get those slows off to allow Vinboys just to do Draven things.
Yeah, if it is Palette who just decides to go for a lot more AP to begin the game, I think that could be beneficial. Dia1. Again, I'm so lost about the mid lane matchup. I feel like it's just not going to be good, especially after the kill now. It's going to be even harder to try to manage. Okay. Yeah, and again, I expect Spot to be down here quite a bit now. They've got their first level advantage. They've got this Draven who's kind of already doing really well in the game. You're going Essence Reaver too if you're Vinboy, so you're really going crazy with some of the early game snowball that could be coming out. So yeah, I'm anticipating just very, very soft top side of the map and Spot to be down here a little bit more.
Was that one assist actually enough gold to get a Sheen straight off the back? That actually feels like Vinboy's got some insane amount of gold from somewhere.
So I'm really happy that the kill almost didn't go to Draven, because you're waiting for stacks to really stack up more than anything else. And so not only does Seraphine get to spike onto first item a little bit faster, but then also Vinboys gets to continue the stacking. So as long as the Draven doesn't die anytime soon, it's greater opportunity cost for later when the stacks can get cashed in all at once, rather than losing all of them, getting probably a pair of boots or something on top of everything else. If that at that point the stacks probably weren't even in the more than 20 at maximum during the first couple of waves, so you're not pressed that much.
Well, Fuquan is looking towards the bottom lane. Spot is here as well. Vinboys is taking a lot of damage, and remember, doesn't have a flash available, but here comes Spot. Cocoon will land, and so much damage onto Fuquan. One more axe would be enough, can't come through. And it will just be Team Flash backing away, now stuck under their tower once again.
Burns the flash, though, out of Fuquan, and that means that Spot, while down 2 levels because of the farming that has come through from Fuquan, has made massive map impact here on the bottom side, being able to burn Summoner spells, saving Vinboys, who played that honestly played that bottom lane play ridiculously well, was able to step around so much additional damage. I think a lesser player might have actually gone down there to put in Sora and Fook 1. Maybe would have forced a trade of a 1-for-1 if they decided to overextend a little bit. But again, Spot's presence there really did end up helping out. So props to SBTCE, because that could have been a really bad situation where they end up losing the Draven stacks. They end up losing quite a bit more. Vinboys didn't have to burn Cleanse in that circumstance to get away.
Well, the gold is still relatively even, actually, on the side of Team Flash, courtesy of that first blood for Jane, and what is a large CS lead for Fook 1, and Spot still just hovering around this bottom side. Can't look to make a play just yet, because Vinboy is still making his way back into lane. There is, though, the first Drake of the game up for the taking.
That it is. It's actually, it's a positive time to, I think, talk about Vinboys, because it's been a hot minute since we've seen Vinboys. Back in the day, it was playing for Burst the Sky, I think, before anything else had actually happened, when they had done quite a bit of work kind of getting in, and then was a backup, I think, for Burst the Sky more often than not, playing in a couple of different circumstances. Never really had like the starting position on the roster, so it's cool to see him reassert himself here. And
nice explosive cask, and Dia 1 delivered to the Team Flash mid-jungle duo.
No
Can't get the final water off. Somehow, Palette will show up, lands the beat drop, lands the root, but there is no way for Dia 1 to follow him. Palette has to be careful, otherwise he's going to get munched on by 3 members of Flash. All the while, Spot able to get the first Drake of the game, and Palette's just playing 1v3 right now. Dia 1 does have level 6, but did use it in the previous fight. Fook 1 not going to be able to land the CC. Palette flashes away, and now Spot is coming in for the rescue. Dia 1 flashing forward, dicing his way out, but he's ignited and will fall. Jane will fall as well. A 1-for-1 in the mid lane, and Spot finally gets the kill.
Okay. Oh, a little bit
really
more.
Nice handshake on Palette, but so much damage from Spot. And down goes Fook 1, 2-for-1 for SBTC.
Yo, okay, okay, and this is a winning situation for Emperor right now. What?
Yoshino over the wall. Emperor on the hunt. He wants the solo kill. The Emperor from 2022 can't land the final Letovo strike. And Yoshino almost turns the play on its head.
Emperor's on a ward right now. You have to be super careful. Turn around, grab that plant right there, and then just walk back into laning phase, and Emperor should be perfectly fine to stay here for a little bit while longer. It was a lot that happened all at once. So Dia 1 staying and actually collecting most of this wave, I thought was all that was going to happen as a result of this play right here. They burnt a lot to get into Palette, and I think that's why Spot saw this opportunity. The flash burnt as well from Jane, just getting punished on the backside, not having that kill kind of reset everything together. And then here, again, Palette's got enough, but then Spot also hitting the massive cocoon within turret range to be able to grab this. They just don't have the damage to finish off Palette, because while the CC's there from Sora, just don't have anything at the beginning of the game. So it's Palette and Spot making quite a bit of action happen here in the mid lane and cleaning up kills, feeling good about the position. And again, the early game that you've been looking for from Spot and from the rest of this team is really coming together.
Very nice runs from both of the supports, but SBTC coming out on top. Spot's looking towards the mid lane, can't quite land the cocoon. And all the while, the Rift Herald secured by the side of Team Flash. So while the gold is even, expect that to be swinging back into the favor of Team Flash once Fook 1 does place the Herald down in one of the 3 lanes.
Yeah, you're going to be in a good place there. The biggest thing is that a lot of the gold that is currently sitting on the side of SBTC Esports is, again, in some of the early game champions. Look at it. It's a serrated Dirk and a Sheen here for Vinboys, again, for some of that early game massive damage spiking. And then Spot, again, to bottom lane, is such a legitimate threat against a Callista who is not at full boots yet, so you don't have that crazy move speed. And then Renata is a very powerful champion, again, for the counter dive. But with this much damage at the beginning of the game is very likely to actually take quite a bit. You can see Spot on the way down here, just trying to cover for the bottom lane, trying to make sure that this Draven is off the ground and beginning the game in a positive light.
I'm just wondering if they're going to tower dive with this next wave.
I doubt it.
As level 6, but both Sora and Pudding have flashes available. It would be very greedy of SBTC if they do go for it. Spot has been spotted out by a ward. He's going to land the cocoon into the beat drop. No ult used just yet. The Fate's Call will take Sora out of the whirling death. And now Jane is making his way down towards the bottom lane.
The damage was disgusting, Milky. It was 1-2 auto attacks. Literally, Vinboys, I think, threw 1 auto attack, did 300 damage, and then immediately forced out the Zonius there to make sure that Sora was not going to go down, which is insane to think about.
And Spot almost gets caught by the explosive cask. In the end, rides the explosive roller casker out to safety and back into the bottom lane. You know what? I'm going to trade that. Explosive roller casker. I like it.
That's pretty good. Oh, Ember!
Ember, he wants the solo kill, and this time he will secure it on to Yoshino. His first solo kill of the day. Spot. Well, the control ward is dropped down. Spot will jump up with the repel, but Dia1 is not looking to follow up because Jane has teleported his way in, and SBTC do not want a 3v4.
So it's kind of wild is that ward actually caught Spot the first time, but because the cocoon landed under the tower, it actually probably didn't tip him off that he was spotted in any capacity whatsoever, which is why he goes down right there. And here's the Emperor kill on the top side of the map. Actually, it was literally all Emperor. This was the first amount of damage that Yoshino did to Emperor in that entire fight. The little dash Q to be able to kind of close things out means that Yoshino gets punished in the pure one-on-one. I don't know that any other top laner would have had the confidence here. I would have preferred the Renekton in top lane in basically any other game, but Emperor twice now has actually kind of taken it to Yoshino in the pure one-on-one and nearly come out with 2 big wins. So maybe this was their plan all along. They just know that Emperor's this talented on the Cassante, know that the Jace matchup isn't going to be anything that's going to drive him completely batty, so he's allowed to just kind of walk away with big wins.
What were we saying before about how Emperor has had a lot of dominating top lane performances in spring 2023, apart from the Cassante? Maybe Emperor saying, look, I had a bad Cassante game, but I need to have a good Cassante game, so please give me the Cassante. Let me dumpster Yoshino. I say that, it is still Yoshino who does have a CS lead, and it has been a relatively even top lane over these first 12 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Something like that. Okay, Rift Herald dropped in mid lane, trying to make sure that they get something out of this. Spot's here for coverage if they decide to go diving against Dia.
They are diving, but Dia's just going to be dead. Explosive cast out, a little bit of healing for Dia1, but not enough, and Spot can't get anywhere near his mid laner as he falls.
And again, it's still maintaining this question of why the Renekton ended up in mid lane. I have to take a wild guess and say, hey, they had other champions kind of get prioritized, and so it ended up being more of a it was not planned in the draft that the Renekton necessarily was going mid lane. It was a flex that they ended up putting there, and Dia1 was okay with it when probably not the optimal situation. They could have been better champions kind of thrown into the situation. And here's a great example of that where it's like, okay, look at that. Yeah, taking damage, getting ulted back into the rest of these members, and just getting bullied out. This is the one place on the map that it feels like Team Flash has just had pure unadulterated advantage by making this Gragas work really effectively over time into this Renekton pick. Trying to set up Fook 1, so.
And Dia1's probably wondering, why has Yoshino been in my lane more times than my own jungler?
Yeah, it's fine.
Poor Dia1, he has to 1v3 this game as Vinboys and Palette just backing away as putting in sort of getting this wave to push in under their tower, and Team Flash now looking for their first Drake of the game, which will be this Infernal.
But you have to be super careful because, again, the wave is already finished now for Vinboy, so he could jump off alongside Spot and Palette. Palette's got that massive ultimate we were talking about for the majority of the beginning of this game. And while Renekton is not particularly fed, he's still a Renekton at the beginning of the game, so it's not like those base stats are going down anytime soon. So it's not a ridiculous thought in general. I mean, they might just dump bottom wave and say, nuts with it. Like, let's just go for the dragon and let's go for a fight here. They've got kind of first positioning on it pretty significantly. Emperor also is going to be here. No TP from Yoshino means that Emperor would be in this fight, and Yoshino likely would not. So they're slow playing this dragon, I think, a little bit, trying to make sure that Jane can't come in. And if I'm Team Flash, I think you just have to give it, unfortunately. There's no positioning for you to wrestle back with Cassante being down here, and with a teleport to make it back to top lane. It means that they just have absolutely no bearing on the map whatsoever. Just take your couple of waves that you're going to end up dumping, take the TP from Emperor, and walk away as happy as you can be.
And SBTC identifying their win conditions well. We talked about how they have a lot of early game champions and they need to get a lead to snowball, and they're looking for early Drakes. As Sora and Pudding, they're going to land the handshake, instantly cleansed, but out comes the flash, but it's straight into the Renata ultimate. Vinboys is going to take a fair bit of damage. No mana! Ooh. And the Ren gets the kill. The ult from Palette under tower, 2 tower shots onto Fook 1, but not enough for the Team Flash jungler to fall.
Gotta be honest, I think we were a little bit late with the ultimate right there from Palette. I think it could have been used a lot earlier to try to deny some of the auto-attacking coming out from Puddin, to, again, remove some of the spears coming out from Vinboys. Not to mention, it was weird because Vinboys burnt the cleanse immediately, burnt the flash immediately, and this was all in vain because you go into an auto-attacking battle against Puddin, and then you just end up taking a bunch more spears anyway. Again, at what point can Palette press the ultimate? At what point do they decide, hey, we can't take this fight anyway? I see what the attempt was. I think Palette was just trying to catch Puddin on the backside of this one, try to catch Fook1 under the tower. I get the idea behind it. So Palette's ultimate, I'll take a little bit of criticism away from. But this is supposed to be the power point of your map. You cannot let it bleed like this.
And that's Vinboys getting a death before he got a kill at 15 minutes. That's a lot of stacks that he would have lost as a result. And now Pudding is looking a lot stronger than Vinboys as a result. Has first item completed. Tier 2 boots as well. Vinboys doesn't have any boots, just has the serrated dirt. But this Kalista is going to be very strong in team fights.
This Kalista is not the first time this has been utilized. In fact, I think it was actually Slater on Team C or SBTC Esports that was the one that abused it a few weeks ago and really kind of did a lot of damage with it. Here, Pudding showing it off. And again, alongside the Renata, now is going to be one of the best earlier game kind of avenues that Team Flash has to win against really big neutral objectives. So again, when Dragon starts to be a lot more contested on the next one and the one after, it's the Kalista and the Renata that are going to be really, really big to make that happen. So Spot, I do like trying to make some attempt against it here, just trying to help punish. This is where the entire time Renekton and Elise should have been attacking in the first place, is in a side lane now that Jane is elsewhere. What I anticipated seeing from the beginning of the game, but just have not gotten that yet.
I was just wondering if Spot was going to get one of those croaks, and in the end, the Volatile Spiderling does get one.
But you got a big one.
Yeah, got one of them. Still did lose out on a bit of gold. Vinboys and Palette now in this mid lane. Next objective to really play around is going to be the Drake in 2 minutes' time. And I think we're probably at the point now where Team Flash are going to be a little bit more eager to stop SBTC from stacking up these Drakes.
Yeah, they've got the power now with a 2-kill Kalista, with a Renata that's going to be on first item relatively soon, with a Gragas that's now on Rod of Ages. It feels like they have everything that they want to begin fighting. Like they've got a sufficient amount of material on the map to actually make things happen. So especially with the advantage that's held on bottom side, I think you're okay with that. Essence Reaver is completed for Vinboys, which is a big kind of notch that is going to be focused on here from the side of Team Flash. They have to make sure that the Draven is not able to just kind of free fire into a lot of the members of the team, because there's not much flat armor anywhere on the squad, so that additional serrated Dirk is going to feel bad to play against. Not to mention there's big ultimate. Again, that massive Seraphine ultimate, the Xante ultimate, can really cause them quite a few fits if they're not super careful. But I love the use of the Rift Herald. They're going to break mid-tower. They're going to have a lot more control to be able to kind of work their way into the river and have first positioning, so that it's not easy for SBTC to set up their team fights.
Emperor is on a really big wraparound, and if he can find his way onto someone like Pudding, that would be absolutely massive. But you were talking about some of the big ultimates, and there are some really cool micro mechanics of the big team fight that can sway how a fight does pan out. You're looking towards the likes of Jane with that explosive cask, Sora as well with the ultimate. And then you look over to SBTC. They've got so much burst damage if they can find the right member of Team Flash just to unload everything onto.
To me, what it is that SBTC actually wants a really elongated team fight. You want time for Vinboys with the Draven to kind of catch axes, to be able to throw enhanced auto attacks and to do damage, which is going to happen a lot better than what Puddin, I think, is going to be able to put out with the shield bow. Yes, you've got insane Ren stacks, you've got single target damage, and that's likely to help set up Fook1 more than anything else. But again, Jane also, you throw the explosive cast, then you're just waiting for cooldowns to kind of pop up. Yashino's got the shock blast through the acceleration gate, but then you're waiting for that cooldown a second time, and you still have stuff to fight with, but then you're fighting a Renekton in ultimate, you're fighting a Draven, you're fighting champions that are not going to lose effectiveness when their ultimate's gone for the most part. And now
Fook1 being focused, forced to ult away defensively. The Empowered Shock Blast from Yoshino doesn't actually land onto any members of SBTC. The fight is over. This Hextech Drake, and if SBTC could secure it, it would take them to Soul Point. Handshake on to Emperor, who's taking the brunt of the damage. Out comes the Whirling Death, just to even out the total health bar deficit that both teams have. Emperor on about half health. I'm looking to Dia1 if he can slice his way into the backline, find a way onto Pudding. And Palette with that really big encore, especially with all of Team Flash grouped up as they are now, could completely turn a fight. Another handshake missing from Sora. Beat drop will lock down Jane in place. Drake down to 4,000. Explosive cast comes through into the hostile takeover. Palette will be able to find two members with the encore. 2,000 health and now on the Drake. Dia1 though going to fall 1v4 in the Drake pit. 2 kills for the side of Team Flash, and they secure the Drake.
Couple of big ultimate combinations that win this fight here for the side of Team Flash and get themselves their first dragon, kind of shut down the stacking that's coming through from SBTCE. Their team fighting was looking a lot better, right? Like, they're kind of sieged up at the top side of this fight. They're the ones looking to try to make sure that the dragon is gone. And it's weird because SBTC, it feels like they're in this weird kind of in-between space where they're looking for dragon. Are they looking, like, what are they looking for? That ultimate I thought was going to be disastrous. I thought Jane had knocked everybody away and that the ultimate coming through from Paulette was going to end up not tagging anybody, or my apologies, from Sora, that was not going to tag anybody, but it ended up being a perfectly whipped ultimate in order to actually get everything. And actually, Team Flash grab up the Baron immediately after that play. There's no response from SBTC Esports. I think they got bottom tower in exchange, so a little bit of gold into Draven, but goodness gracious, what a great sequence here from Team Flash.
Flash and the objectives are gone for anyone who knows that old cleaning product commercial. I think it was a Mr. Muscle. No, I think it was actually called Flash. But anyway, Team Flash find themselves with a rather comfortable now 3.5k goal lead. They have the Baron buff, so expect that goal lead just to balloon a little bit further. And now I'm starting to wonder, how do SBTC get back into this game? Vinboy still doesn't have a kill, and it doesn't look like he's going to be getting one either.
Yeah. Okay, I was waiting for a second here because, oh, they're engaging on Vinboys.
Flash is away, but Vinboy's tagged by the handshake. Wow. And Sora almost finding an angle to kill Vinboys, but that Draven has a lot of damage regardless, and Sora chunked down very low.
He's got damage. That's the thing. He's like, Vinboys is not lacking damage by any capacity at all. Here we go.
Dia1 just gets blown up. He'll use the Dominus, and now Emperor is in the meat grinder. 1v4, trying to dash away out to safety. Good slow onto Fuquan so that he can't follow up on the play. But yet again, SBTC lose their mid laner.
Ooh. Okay.
Explosive cask onto Spot, repels up. That could be a really big encore onto 3 members, but Vinboy still can't get a kill. Yoshino surviving on single teams, but eventually Vinboys will pick up the kill with something. I'm not sure exactly what. Vinboys now has to play 1v3, almost gets tagged by the hijacked Cocoon, locked down under tower, and will fall. Fuquan somehow survives, and Team Flash by the skin of their teeth, just about surviving, end up getting 4 kills for 1.
Biggest thing about this Team Flash kind of composition is they've got a bunch of big ultimates, but again, the through fighting is mostly out of Fuquan, who is probably one of the weaker members on the squad compared to like Pudding, who is also really, really good at kind of through fighting. But when the ultimates don't tag properly, things get quite a bit closer, and I think that's a large part of what happened here, was that while Dia1 did end up going down to Fuquan, you didn't have these kind of big ticket ultimates that ended up accomplishing all that much. This ultimate coming through from Jane, again, I'm not going to criticize it because it did, I think, tag 3 members, but I don't think it quite put them in the position that you wanted them to be in. Yeah, right there, hit 3 members, but 2 of them got disengaged and Spot gets to go up. A massive encore kind of led to Vinboys throwing quite a bit of damage through everybody. And we're so close to Vinboys just being able to step up and throw damage into multiple members. Look at that, almost executes Sora with just 1 auto attack. Nearly wins the fight underneath the tower against Hook1.
We've got another fight happening, and it's another 2 members dying. Paulette and Emperor will be sent to the grey screen, and Team Flash just look to be snowballing this game out of control. Now with a 7,000 goal lead, they'll pick up the bottom lane in a tower as well. One good thing, though, for SBTC from that previous fight was did finally get a kill, got to cash in on some of his stacks.
The biggest thing, though, is that while Team Flash also is big kind of ult determinant with things like with Jace and with Gragas, and even with, I would say, Renata in a lot of cases, sieging is ridiculously powerful. And it's hard for SBTC's composition to get in and get going. Draven is not the most range of the entire world. Paulette's got quite a bit of range. But then you've got 3 melee champions, like, to be quite honest. Yes, you could argue about Elise a little bit, but she's most effective when she's able to be in assassin range. And so SBTC's fallen off a cliff here. Like, there's not much for them to accomplish. There's no strength in this Renekton. There's not a ton of strength inside of Spots. We're waiting for Vinboys to pop off, but Vinboys has picked up exactly 1 kill through the entire game. Had they been able to snowball bot lane quite a bit harder, like if Puddin and Sora hadn't gotten off to like a 2-kill advantage after that first 1 play had come through, maybe this would be a very different game. But given just how well that lane went compared to like the lanes also going fine for Team Flash, having this kind of big range advantage, there is just too much in favor of Team Flash for this game to feel like it's very easy for SBTC Esports to come back.
This was a game where SBTC needed to get an early lead, but that is the one thing they didn't do. Dia1 just absolutely abused in the mid lane with constant pressure from Yoshino and Fuquan. And SBTC have been pretty much on the back foot since about 5-6 minutes into this game. They're now trying to push in the top lane, trying to get a tower bounty, but Team Flash are making their way over, and SBTC have to be careful not to overextend.
They're going to get this tower, but again, they are in very dire straits if they end up running directly into putting Jane and Sora. They're not really sure.
Pushing.
I mean, DO1's got, at this point, like, he's down so much, and he is wrapped around on really hard. Yeah, this was DO1, I think, buying time for his teammates. It doesn't matter that he's dead. They don't have...
I think he could have just walked out, though. I don't think he had to go for this.
They didn't know, I don't think, where... I'm trying to give any benefit of the doubt here to DO1, which I'm not sure he deserves by any... Okay,
Emper just gets a kill in a 1v2. Now he's looking for Fook 1 as well. Sadly, the Whirling Death will not land, but Emper is still on the hunt. The Emperor will strike forward, and when SBTC have their backs against the wall, Emper will step forth.
They do. Again, the combination of like DO1 kind of stepping into top lane meant that there's no possibility of Jane kind of entering into the bottom side of the map. There's a lot going on right there. Emper is a massive tank against AD champions. Right there playing against the Jace, who doesn't have much penetration quite yet. The Black Cleaver on the Viego does have quite a bit of kind of value, but wasn't able to ramp up fast enough. That Emper is just so strong on this Cassante. That 2v2 goes incredibly well. Again, the biggest advantage that's held on this map right now for the side of Team Flash is actually the difference between the Gragas and between the Renekton. So if they're isolating the Gragas Renekton, yeah, Gragas might win. But take a look at this. Notably, Fook 1 is not the first one in this fight, so Black Cleaver doesn't start actually getting stacked until right there when the first auto attack comes through, which is why it feels like Emperor is not taking any damage at the beginning of this fight, and then Fook 1's just bailing, because what are you supposed to do against this guy?
Die. And that's exactly what happened. In the end, Spot ended up stealing the kill away from Emper. Absolutely terrible things to see. Team Flash have been able to pick up a second Hextech Drake as well. So both teams now on 2 Drakes. But with how strong Emper is looking, maybe there is a little bit of hope we can have for SBTC in this game.
I'm not going to wait on bated breath here because, again, I still think there's a lot of problems that are established in the draft for SBTC to deal with. There's still no really powerful Draven, but if you get to Infinity Edge and you're still living in this game, you can still win out team fights if you're not tanking these massive kind of big team fighting ultimates. They have to get in this Baron pit, though.
Sora almost tagged by the Cocoon. Jane is on zoning duty. Not doing a very good job of zoning SBTC at the moment. The Baron, though, will reset, and SBTC now looking to push in the mid lane, maybe pick up an outer towers. Team Flash slowly making their way towards the mid lane, and Power Shock Blast will land onto Vinboy's explosive cast. Spot able just to ride it out to safety. SBTC won't be able to get anything, neither will Team Flash.
Jade's ultimate is actually on a really low cooldown, but if it weren't for that, like, they would have gotten very little value out of that ultimate right there. So I think you're fine if you're side of Team Flash. They're able to fish with it a little bit more often than not. That means they can take back control of mid lane, which they lost for a second there from the side of SBTC Esports. If they had gone directly for Baron, I think they would have lost mid tower and probably still been contested to the point where it would have been a bit of a coin flip to go for the Baron. So I actually appreciate that they make a little bit more reserved of a play. And now they're letting Shock Blasts from Yashino hit and tag over and over again. Palette's half health, Spot's half health. You're really relying that Vinboys is going to be able to step up into the pocket in this fight now. And Jane's ultimate's already back.
Spot is really low in the explosive cast, just snipes down Spot. No, jungler, of course, gonna land. What can Vinboys do? 1 kill going the way of SBTC, and it is a shutdown for DO1. The Baron down to 4,000 health. Is there anything that DO1 and SBTC can do? No, they won't even try to contest it, so Team Flash will secure the Baron buff for 4 of their members.
Again, difficulty for Spot kind of stepping up into this fight to be able to be competitive in any way. You're just getting out pressured because Yashino's dropping damage and Jane is dropping damage, and you have the cast like that often. It's really easy to kind of find your way into a good position as Team Flash, where again the jungler dropped. There was no chance of a threat of a steal except for some sort of errant abilities kind of taking it away, and that's not going to happen, or at least shouldn't happen 90% of circumstances, 99% of circumstances for Team Flash. And so they're comfortable. They say, okay, yeah, we trade over Jane, we give a little bit of shutdown over. I think the kill ended up going into somebody Positive's pocket, which is really good, but it just doesn't matter. And here, this is what I'm talking about, Shock Blast. That's like the 3rd one that Spot took during the course of this fight, and Spot just not able to get away. I did really like this. But again, the Renata ultimate also shuts them down for being able to kind of walk in on top of Yashino, which could have been a potential play.
Jane almost caught out, forced to flash body slam out to safety so that he didn't get locked down by Palette's beat drop. And SBTC are constantly fishing for these angles just to catch a member of Team Flash. Zempa does have to be careful. Team Flash now sieging in the mid lane.
Okay. Again, SBTC finding any sort of front to back and allowing Vinboys to step up and start auto-attacking is the biggest thing for me here. just to try to allow something that might be a massive win.
Again, another explosive task, and Spot just falls instantaneously. Emperor is solo. Palette does have the ult available. Hostile takeover almost tags onto Palette, who's forced to flash out to safety. Well, at least relative safety, and Team Flash are not done yet. The siege will continue. Another shock blast. Vinboy's chunked down even further. One Nexus tower gone. SBTC need to find a fight. Palette needs to find and engage for his encore. Emperor doing his damnness to try to defend the tower. Big 3-man encore coming through, but what can Palette and Vinboy do? Vinboy still alive, still trying to throw out the axes, looking for Yoshino, but can't get the kill. Palette forced under his base. Team Flash will win the fight. Team Flash will win the game and go 1-0 up against SBTC.
For a team that was down 10,000 gold, it did not feel like SBTC was down